Hello, welcome. Right on time.
Hi, how are you, Monica?
I'm doing well. Yes, I had my first class today. Students seem to be all right. No,
Oh, that's good. Yay, I
yes,
know.
no one panicking, so that's kind of nice.
Is it hybrid?
No, it's fully online. This,
Oh, okay.
yes,
Okay.
it just means that everything has to be really explained well. You know,
Yes,
I don't get a
there's
chance to to jump in.
hmm
Why don't we do this? Today's hybrid live session is going to be more of a Q&A because I want to make sure that we're able to answer everybody's questions. I will hold office hours and I'll put them in the calendar for the rest of the week between 8 and 10 every day. Just in case there's anything that you're like, then we can just meet quickly and see if we can resolve that. Many times it's what I call the ghost of Canvas. They feel like it worked. It worked a minute ago. Why doesn't it work now? Sometimes an extra pair of eyes can help with that. If those hours don't work for you, please drop an inbox message letting me know what 3 days and times are good for you. And I can try to match it up somewhere on my calendar and then we can try to meet. All right. So let's see. What I'm going to recommend is you put your question, even if it's very briefly, right in chat, because as more folks come in, sometimes they don't know or forget that we're going to try to be systematic and they can just jump over it, and try to ask their questions. And they don't mean to be bullies, uh, but sometimes that happens. So I want to make sure that we're able to answer your questions. All right. So Allie, you jumped in first. What sort of questions do you have?
Yes, thanks. Am I'm working on that the unit. I've got my orientation module posted since my class also started today. And I'm just wondering how how much of, if you can speak to how much of the unit we should present as developed, because
Mm-hmm.
my unit is across 3 weeks, so that's three modules.
Right.
And I'm not sure I will have the time to finish everything. I know we have an extra week, but I want to kind of submit, get in
Right.
something this Friday by the deadline, and then if I need time to,
Let's
to
see.
revise.
I'm trying
So
to
yeah.
think about, what might work. Let me see. I'm going to just bring up some of my courses to see if this might help in terms of just visualizing. So for 3 units, what's tricky about that? Oh, and just FYI, I was going through and grading the hybrid first thoughts and the connection. So if you
Oh,
notice that there wasn't a
yeah.
score there before, that's just because I was just waiting for everybody to wrap up before getting into that. So you'll start to know, I think for both of you, you already have your scores there.
I
And
saw it. Thank you.
oh, so before I forget, let's see. So I'm thinking about what courses I have that might mimic that a little bit. And maybe one of the courses that I have that mimics that might be the short term. Let me see. And that one I still have to work on. So my short term class, this one doesn't start till March. And the reason I think it mimics that a little bit is that I have, for example, let me see, week by week. So for example, here, uh, during week 1, was that? Yes. There are a lot of things that my students need to do. It's a short-term class, so we have to jump in with chapter 1 right away. So what I think that you could do for your learning content module is that you can include the overview page that will be for the 3 weeks, and you might chunk it out by saying, week 1, we'll cover these learning objectives. Week 2, we're going to cover these other learning objectives. And then week 3, we'll cover these learning objectives. And so that way you only have to have one overview page instead of one per each week. And
Hmm.
that might help a little bit. Students just kind of, and if, for example, week 1, 2, and 3, they really are the same learning objectives. then you can only say for weeks 1, 2, and 3, we are going to go over these 3 or 4 learning objectives. I would shy away from more than 4. Really, 4 is stretching it, but really 4 objectives, because if you think about it, it means that each assessment needs to match that objective. So that would mean if you have 4, that means that you would have to have 4 objectives, 4 assessments, each one for each objective, unless you were going to like double them up, which is really tough to do, right? Discuss and analyze in one discussion, right? Because if you say discuss, that means it has to be a discussion assessment type. And then analyze, maybe you're giving them something that you want them to take a look at. So it can be the members of my household, and so or whatever it is, so that would be a little bit tough to double up on them. Let's see, brainstorming through that. So for example, if this is your week, your unit, right? And you have week 1, then you might, chunk it out with a little header here. This doesn't do anything but give the students a heads up, right? So you might say, all right, so week 1, we're going to do all prep, right? And then you might say week 2, ignore this because I'm breaking it down by day, right? So here you would say week 2, tackle this, tackle that, open content. Here, these are chapter 2 presentations. And then you'll notice that I have an assignment. This is 3 points, super easy, but it gets the ball rolling for them. And then here I have a quiz, super easy, 10 points, multiple choice. They have 3 attempts at each question. And I give them like 3 hours. They only need like 20 minutes. This is more like homework. And students are really happy to share. So for example, instead of having 3 discussions, unless you really need them because of the way the class is worked out, and then if it's hybrid, you're meeting with them in classroom too, right? I would consider only having 1 end of unit 1 discussion. So that for the whole unit, you just have 1 sort of wrap up discussion, because some of your discussions are already in the classroom. So this might be one way to do it. What you for sure have to have in your unit, especially because it spans 3 units, you have to at least have content. It could be curated, like this one. It's a film that I borrowed, right, from Films on Demand or somewhere. Created, which can be your own PowerPoints or your own videos. You need to have at least, what else? 1 quiz, 1 discussion, and 1 assignment. And assignments, normally those are student to teacher only. There's no collaboration unless you make this like a group assignment. And I got to say, those are very challenging to create and to grade. So just keep that in mind. I don't even have any group assignments. Nope. I do have interactive assignments. Like I'll have Padlet, where you can, include things, information. I have a Padlet map assignment where I have students put a pin on that. So although it's graded as an assignment and it's not really collaborative, that still they can share, they can see each other's activity and posts. So that's kind of like in the middle ground between assessments and assignments. In assignments, for the most part, we're asking students, let me see if I can get one over here. We're asking students to upload something or to type in the text box. If it's typed in the text box, it's very hard to annotate. So that's why I don't let any students type anything in the text box.
Oh, yes, that's what was my question. Yes. Which way you actually
annotate. Yeah.
create the assignments so that you can annotate them?
So I click down on online, unless you want it to be a paper submission. So you can make it an on-paper submission and have them submit those assignments in class. So that might be an easier way to have a group assignment, because in that way you're not bugging people online to, did you already submit? Did you participate? You're right there, eyeballs in the classroom, seeing who is participating in the assignment. So that might be another way to think about these group things. And so it's online. And then here I have an file app upload because that's what I want them to do. And I'm ultra strict. I restrict it to only Word documents, because Google Docs, they don't come through, and I grade a lot of mine is on formatting. So if they have a messed up Google Doc that came through and they're thinking it's perfect because that's how they see it on their end, well, that doesn't count. I'm like, no, it has, I mean, this is poli sci. It's like we need to present things that are professional, and so I try to train them in that. Attempts, I'll only allow one attempt because there's just too many assignments for me to go in and regrade. So it's like I tell them, read the instructions, take a look at the rubric, do it right the first time. And I know that sounds really harsh, but with like the level of students that I have, this is transferable. These students sometimes just throw whatever it is there, and then whatever I give them as feedback, they're just mimicking and changing what I'm telling them to do. And I'm like, in my classes, that's not learning to just, now not use all caps or whatever it is. That's not learning. What's learning is to take the feedback I give and to apply it to the next assignment. And so for my students, I'm like, okay, if you don't want to have to, and then the points are so minimal. This is like 3 points, I think. For this one, I don't have a plagiarism review, but for my other essays, definitely. And so I select Turnitin, and that will give me a similarity check that they can also see. So they can see that they got 89% similar, and then it shows me what university that paper was also submitted to. I mean, you'd be amazed. I had in my face-to-face classes, I had a young man walk in kind of late, didn't even sit down, and said, "Are you using Turnitin?" And I said, "Oh, welcome. Yes, we're using Turnitin. Let me explain how that works." Didn't even look at me, walked right out the door.
Oh,
Yep. Yep.
wow.
That's blatant. And then
And I
what else?
noticed that,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I noticed that this is from Merit College because I don't think ours looks like that at Contra Costa where the
Let's see if I
plagiarism
can
is.
pull up.
Because I tried to do, I teach full-time here, but I teach adjunct at Solano. And at Solano, the Turnitin is really easy. You just click it and it goes through. But I tried it one semester at Contra Costa and it was a nightmare. And I've never gone back to try to figure it out again.
You're like, that's it. That's
Yeah,
it. Let
because
me
it was like
see.
it's like an external tool that you have to use, and then it was like making me do all these other things. And then some students could figure it out. Other students were like, I don't know, understand how to submit my assignment. And I'm like, at Solano, I just click it and it just works.
It just works. Let me see if
I
I
don't
can
know why
find
it's
one. Like my new one, will it help you? My new one work? And you're right about that, by the way.
Okay.
Let me show you maybe an old one. Let me see if I can find an old one. Let me go into courses. That would be better. Let me see if it'll let me do past published courses. Don't go crazy as you look at all this craziness. It's the only thing that's kind of not cool about this is because I'm attached to so many people's courses that when I try to use the inbox, it kind of does crazy things. Like it won't let me immediately just select a course and send a message. It gives me a hard time because it's just trying to do too much. But let me jump in. And I'll go into a previous course if I can find one here. Let's see. Still thinking. Polycycle. I for sure have them because I just finished the spring. I just want to show you one that actually worked. If I show you my current one, there isn't anything in there. And so that's not gonna help. Okay, let's see here. Okay. I'm gonna scroll. Don't go blind while I'm scrolling.
You're like a million courses.
I know. Let's see, fall 2022. Okay. Government, it looked like this course did make. Yes. Okay. Sometimes some courses don't make. I have to say that normally my online courses do make. So few on that. So let me take a look here and see if I can show you. Okay, standard welcome. You can see here with an overview. And then the syllabus section, just because I have to piece out the grading thing. But let me take a look. And this was a short-term class also. I'm going to go to critical analysis one, for example. And let me see if it'll let me show you the speed grader. All right, so when students submit their assignments, that I do have it so that they can see the rubric and I can use the rubric, which it helps so much. But then you can see that here I'm also annotating because it gives me tools to annotate. The text
Mhm.
only does not give me tools. And so I can't really give them the kind of feedback I want to do. Now, I was
Mhm.
using more color and things for some of my critical analysis replies and feedback. And then a student said, that's so much color. And so I'm like, okay, let me just pick one color maybe and just stick to that. And that was just one student, but based on that, I'm like, okay, but you can see here 30%
Yeah.
similarity. If I were to click on that, it's like it is at Merritt and other colleges, like at City College of San Francisco, where
Yeah, I just don't know how to, I don't know how to use but I can try again. I can go back and watch the video again and maybe they've made it better, but it was
I
like, I
don't
don't
think they have.
understand. Okay. I
I'm
don't
like, I don't,
understand how when I assign an assignment to attach, turn it into it by
uh-huh.
Contra Costa.
And so it is really great because you can see where
Yeah.
things came from, and where things are verbatim, attached. But let me see if I can show you. Is this Contra Costa? Yeah, let me go back
Yeah,
up
it's
here.
first.
I'll go into my actual course this semester to see if that helps walk you through. It's the only reason it's tricky, and sometimes I wonder if I'm even doing it correctly or if I just found a workaround, which is probably what happened. Because I like using the rubrics that are in Canvas. I don't really want to use the Turnitin rubrics.
Oh,
So
sure.
let me see. It's just taking time. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and once this stops doing its little shimmy thing, it reminds me of the TARDIS. I'm into Doctor Who, and Doctor Who has this like time machine. It's a police box that you walk into. And so it does a little thing. So, okay, this course, which already begun, let me jump into, and this will let me show you something else for the recording. You can set up your assignments by weights. So for example, I have a preparation for critical analysis section assignment, and that is worth 10%. So these are tiny assignments that help prep for the bigger thing, right? And so then here I have a critical analysis section, and that's worth the bulk of the course, 50%, right there. So for example, critical analysis 1, let's go in here. So the way that I edit this is that I have a rubric, although it doesn't show right now because of Turnitin. But I go into edit. I have tabs that show students what the rubric is going to look like, So I actually put it in a table here. And the reason for that is that sometimes when I switch it to Turnitin, it won't show the rubric at the bottom of the page. So I type this in for them just in case. And also, I don't know what kind of system they're using, right? Then here you can see that I type in external tool, find, and then I find Turnitin. No, Turnitin. Where are you? Oh, so many. Okay, so Turnitin, and then I select that, and then I save. But sometimes I feel like it doesn't quite take. So I'll go in. And this is the way normal I do it. I start with this part actually. I'll go into this and make it an online submission. I will tell it that it is restricted by file type.
And docx are the two to put. I never knew what to put for Word.
Yes,
So that's
these
why,
two
okay.
they're the older word and then the newer word.
Okay.
I limit it to 1. When do I ever come and change this? So once this closes, February 11th, and I have a student who's like, oh my God, I submitted the wrong thing. I gave you my grocery list or whatever. That happens so much. But then I tell them, okay, this is a teachable learning moment. I'm like, you need to make sure that whatever you're uploading is the file that you want to upload. And I explain to them, if you're applying to a scholarship or a job and you accidentally upload the wrong document to your maybe future employers or selection committee, you might be out of job simply because you uploaded the wrong document. So So then here, for example, we'll go ahead and save. And then if I scroll to the bottom, you see the actual rubric here. So that's a rubric from add a rubric, right? But because I also use Turnitin, which I'll go back in and set. I'm not always too sure that students actually see that rubric, and that's why I set it inside there. So now I'm going to go in again, external tool, Turnitin. Let me see if it will do it. Nope, it wants the URL. So I have to go in and actually give it to them. Turnitin, LTI, select, and then the same things. Now here you can load in a new tab. I tend not to. I tend to just let it be there. So with the more attempts, so then what I tell the student is go ahead, use this time to double check your paper against the rubric, and I show them how. And then I tell them on February 12th, I will go ahead and reopen this for you. Why? Because I don't want to, if you increase the number of attempts here, then it means that everybody gets a new attempt. Everyone does. And sometimes they do it. They will submit it again, and then that's kind of a nightmare. And maybe I'm passive aggressive. I don't like saying, no, I'm not going to accept that. You know, if it's already there, I'm like, oh, okay, let me just go ahead and grade it again, right? And so then what I do is that for that student, let's say Matt, I'll go ahead and add, and then I do have a Matt, see? Because I'm making up names. I'll put in the original due date, February 2nd, 10 o'clock. Why 10? Because I need to be in bed by then. And I don't want people struggling to submit things, you know, past that. But then here, I will put in the new date for them. There it is, 10 o'clock as well, because I try to train them to 10.
That just amazes me right now that I didn't know this, that you could do that for one student.
For one
Because
student.
I knew you could do that for moderating quizzes
Mm-hmm.
if I had to go open a quiz for somebody, but otherwise I tell them to just send it to me then, because I don't want to open it up to back to everybody.
Right.
If there's been like an emergency, there's been like a reason, you know, and I feel like,
Mhm.
okay. And then you risk forgetting about it because it's in your inbox.
Absolutely, yes.
And I don't want that on my conscience. So
No.
thank you for showing me the add button. I
Sure
never knew
thing.
that was there.
I just
Yeah.
discovered this. It's really helpful. And I'm learning from you to setting the original due date, but the until means that keeps it kind of for your purpose.
Yes.
Okay. Because I think
Yes.
I probably changed the due date, and
Yeah,
then
because the craziness
confuses
for
me.
me when I
Yeah.
was new to Canvas was I kept saying, why aren't my courses coming over with the dates more or less intact, more or less? And I realized that's because I kept changing them as I was giving new students an opportunity. I kept changing this. And so when Canvas, I was copying it from one course to a new semester, it didn't know which one to pick. And so here, if I keep the due dates the same, it will always pick the same due date. I know it's like a crazy cheat. But like with this, the only thing is that if it was for Matt, I would not set this up until February 12th. Again, when with the new attempt, because by then it has closed for everybody else. And only the 1 or 2 students who need this reattempt thing will get the two attempts. And again, it's a passive aggressive thing. But let me go ahead and save that. Maybe I gotta.
Could I ask you? You were just mentioning copying over a course and changing the dates. Would you? Because I always say I think not to include the dates, because then you have whole new dates, right? The next semester, or is there something that I'm missing that you're able to keep
okay, no. So you're right about one thing. So for example, here, and I'm just going to conclude this here, or else I'm going to, because I changed a lot of things within this assignment that's coming up. I want to save myself 45 emails. So for discussions, it is a good idea to just say, due on Thursday, if you have the 1 unit, 1 module thing. If you have the 3-week unit module, then you have to be specific, because then students won't know which Thursday some things due, right? in terms of an assignment, a discussion. For me, because I always have, let me see, let me get to a discussion here. Because I always have it by unit matching a week. That means if I go into end of week 2, and you can see it's a short-term class, so I have to chunk this out. But I keep assignments that were due on Monday. I will keep them open till Friday. I just don't tell them that I keep it open. And then here we have week 2, end of week 2. So you'll notice your post and reply are due on Thursday. I like them both to be done the same day, not staggered like we have in our BEHI. You know, we have the Thursday, what do we have? Wednesday, Sunday. To me, that's like too disruptive in my head. So I make the discussions open on a Wednesday, they're due on a Thursday, and they close on a Friday, because I see discussions as something that comes closer. But if you have assignments, then the due dates help because they will trigger 2 things. Sometimes it's a notification to the student's email, wherever, or text. Such and such assignment is due. It's a trigger to go into the Canvas calendar. If students are using the calendar, they can see all of the due dates sort of on one screen for the next 2 weeks. And then it also triggers over here in the home. So for example, my students now, when they go into the home page, pardon me, they see that they have these 3 assignments that they need to complete. And then they see by when, by today, by tonight even, because it shows them the 10 p.m. So that although these are all of them are open till Friday. So they're not going to close because I have the until date. That is a close date. Now, even if you want to give your students the whole semester to turn things in, I mean, we kind of don't recommend it just because these are not correspondence courses or self-paced courses. We sort of want students to move with the whole group together, right? Because that way you're answering questions that are all sort of about the same unit, instead of for some students answering week 1 or unit 1 stuff. And then for those who have been systematically going through the course, you're answering, you know, unit 4 stuff. But if you do want to do it that way, that works fine. The only thing I recommend is to put an until date. That's when you no longer want to receive work, meaning you need time to grade, right? And so let's say that's for spring semester, May 10th. May 10th is Mexican Mother's Day. So if you don't want to grade anything past Mother's Day, then you can go ahead and put that until date. And that means the students who need to that either reopen so they can submit, they need to have a conversation with you. And so that conversation is like something like, I apologize, I've not been able to submit work, you know, and then we always want to be equitable. So we are warm and supportive. So, but then that's the conversation. It's like, okay, how much time do you need? Right? And so now for those 2, 3, 5 students, you can go ahead and give them till May 14th. And you know you're still okay giving yourself buffer to grade. The reason for that is that if we don't put an until date, it means that we post grades, let's say on a Saturday. Our classes ended on a Friday. We post grades on a Saturday because we're that diligent. And then the course is still open for students for a whole month after we've posted grades. If they still have no until date, they can come back to your course and participate in anything you still have open. And again, maybe it's my passive aggressive nature. I just don't want to have a conversation where I say, I already posted grades. This course is closed. You know, if there's something in the queue, I'm going to feel like either now I have to grade that and submit all of the paperwork for a change of grade, which I never do, or flat out tell them, I'm sorry you submitted all of this work, but our course ended on Friday. I don't know if that makes sense. And it does sound really harsh as much as I'm trying to be equitable, but I'm very intrusive. I use the grade book a lot. So, and I'll show you right now with this live course. Let me see, where's my grade book? Here, notice that it's hidden. It's hidden on pretty much until Friday. And the reason for that is that there isn't anything that they need to jump into grades to look at right now. anything from the assessments, they can see the scores right in that, right? But if I leave grades right now enabled so the students can see it, many times they're just jumping right into the grades to figure out what assessments they need to take care of. And they're not taking a look at any of the instruction or any of the content. And when they just jump into grades, they don't get the beautiful page I created for them with links and videos and all. They don't get that. All they get is, let me see, maybe I can show you what they get.
I never thought about that they could just click on the link to the assignment.
They do, and they do it all
Not
the
go
time.
through the modules order.
This
Oh.
is what they get. They get
Mhm.
the title of the assignment,
Mhm.
and that's it. And
Yeah,
they
right.
hardly ever click on rubrics
Makes sense.
or anything. And they are always
Mhm.
bugging me about, what do you mean? Like, this is self-explanatory, so they can wing it, right? Even if they didn't look at the rubric or the instructions. But some of them, like library orientation or library write-up, they'll be upset and email me, what do you mean by library orientation? Can you be clear? I'm like, hold on. I'm like, please help me, Lord. Because they don't click up here. So they go into grades, they see that, and they don't see all the lovely stuff I've put in for them.
Right. Mhm.
And so that's why they're like, what is it? What do you want? So for example, here with the grades, that's why and they asked me that our students are so smart. Monica, can you enable, they even use the right language for it. Can you enable the grades tab? Or can you enable the assignments tab or the quizzes tab? I'm like, no, go through the module. You're supposed to go through the module, do everything in the module, unlock new modules for yourself. And so, for example, here, I have a couple of folks who haven't submitted, right? And I have folks who wanted to add, and, so I'm like, come on, 45 students. So I went to message students and I'm going to do that again so you can see so if you hover by the gray part of the title of the assignment, like this, that little 3 options dots, that pops up. So here, for example, so I'm going to go into the interview survey and I'm going to message students who it's the 3rd tab down. And what it'll do is it'll message all of the folks who have not submitted yet. And I'll see the recipients. If somebody emailed me and said, oh, I'm thinking of dropping, then I'll just eliminate them from this message because we're going to, they're not going to be in the class. I don't need to bug them. So I'll hide the recipients. And then here, instead of saying no submission for, it sounds really mean. So I say something like still open for you. And then that. And so then I'll just say, hello. I keep it very general because if I put a name in there, it goes to everybody, right? So hello, hope you had a lovely first day of the semester. Please jump in and participate in this survey. It takes about 10 minutes. Something like that. Super simple, right? I feel it's not harsh, right? Because it's not saying you're delinquent, or anything like that. And then I send it. And, most of the time, students really do react and they will start to participate. So let me see, was there anything else? I think some of you asked me about notes, how I put the notes here and how I moved the total. This total was all the way moved to the end. It goes to the end of the whole list where that's the original place. That's the default place for that. But I don't like it way over there because I can't see the student and their work right away. So what I do is I move the total to the front and then that way I can see them clearly. Other things, the notes here is I check the notes so that it's enabled. I uncheck unpublished assignments. And I don't necessarily need to split students' names, but if I did, I would check on that. and then it will give me a last name column and a first name column. That can be helpful when we're exporting. You know, sometimes we want to export our grade sheet into Excel, so it's easier to manage other things that we want to do. You know, so that's one of the things that we can do. Another thing that I do is that I hover over the more options dots, and I might sort by low and high grades. So that at the top, I'm always seeing who has not submitted their assignments and who I need to reach out to. And then I can notice patterns like, okay, all these zeros are because they just haven't done anything here, or they did something and I haven't graded it yet. So that's another thing. So that
Can
helps.
they see sorry, can they see the notes that you write?
No, these notes are only for us. So one of the things that I will do is I'll put a reopen. So do you remember who was it? Who was my student there with the reopening? Matt, right?
Math or something?
What
Mhm.
what
Yeah,
horrible
it's math.
memory. So let me see here. So I might, that's not gonna work for me. I'm like, that's not gonna work for me because I can't see it in alphabetical order. So, oops, but I already did this, so maybe it won't let me go back. Let me see. I wanted to put a little note in Matt's. Oh, and I probably have it too. Let me see where, oh, it's going to be down here. You can't see it there. So notice here, for Matt, he actually sent in assignments. Here you can see them right here. And in that, his introduction said, my name's Matthew, but my friends call me Matt. And don't worry about the double T, da, da, da. And so what I did was I immediately jumped into my notes to put in Matt, because in that way I can remember later on. I don't always remember, but eventually I remember, and then I can go ahead and when I'm typing to them, then I can go ahead and try to use their preferred name, you know, and so that's a good place to do that. Let me see what
Great.
else about the grade book.
Can you add quite a few notes to that, or
I
is it
do.
limited in characters or words?
So it
Okay.
well, no, eventually if you fill this up too much, it will start to hiccup. But like for
Okay.
example here, I will say something like extended. What assignment did I extend?
Right, that's a great spot. I want to start
Yeah,
doing
critical
that.
analysis
I just put them
as
on
an
sticky
example.
notes and
Yes. And so this, I put it here just in case later
Mhm.
on when I go and I look that I gave them an extension. I'm not in my head thinking, okay, why did I have to give them an extension? So I just put in here it was, you know, an example. And that one, like, oh, okay. And then that'll be that. Let me see. I'm wondering if there's anything else in the grade book. I don't think so. Oh, the
And then
export.
Monica, I think you said this week you would be able to show us how you use Pronto.
Yes, so Pronto. Let me see here. So for example, in this course, you'll notice there's a little doodad there at the bottom. And this is, I don't organize these in the global navigation menu, but mine is set for Pronto way at the bottom after the Comet Support Hub. So if I click on that, it asks me if this is using Pronto Group, first assignment, da, da, da. So this is not even my assignment. This is somebody else. I am linked to a lot of different places, courses, and sometimes maybe this is why I kind of hide it for myself, because the OCD will just get the best of me in terms of seeing that number there. But what it means is that I'm attached. Like if every one of you decided to enable Pronto in your practice shells, right? Then I would be getting those notifications. And so I'm a poker reviewer, peer online course reviewer. And it means that when there's Pronto enabled in those, and I get all of those notifications too. But here, for example, I can see that there's a new announcement. And that one I can see that it's come from this poker. So this is a course I'm reviewing, right? It's not even an actual course of real students, but because she has announcements in Pronto, they're popping up on my end here. For you, how would that look? For you, it wouldn't look like that. You would only get the courses that you are in, that you're teaching, like this one here.
So, yeah, it's funny though. I don't see the course that I'm teaching.
In your Pronto?
Uh-huh.
How about I stop screen share so you can show me?
Okay.
And then let me take a look at the chat and the questions. Okay, pronto. Oh, okay. So Brianna, for the discussions, sometimes I do the first bit and then I come back and then review the peer replies. And so there's a two-way pedagogy on that. The first part is that sometimes folks don't remember to participate in the replies. And
It's true.
so noticing that it's not 100% is sometimes like a reminder. Well, wait a second, what the heck is Monica thinking?
Mhm.
And then that's a reminder to come back in and post the replies. The other is that I think part of my OCD is that I like to take care of things. So if your video came in, but your replies were not in yet, then I just wanted to give you feedback as quickly as possible on the video. So that's why it's not there, but we can jump in and double check that too.
Oh yeah, no, that's not a problem. I wasn't sure, and I was wondering if that's what you were doing, but then I was like, that seems like double the work on the instructor. Because now you're gonna go back to that person's discussion.
Yeah, you know,
But I was like, I
it's
wasn't
so
sure.
strange because we always have to come back anyway to the discussion. So I've tried a couple different things. One of them could be to just sit on my hands and just wait till it closes, right?
Mhm.
The only thing with that is that then all my reminders are they're kind of moot. Then there's no opportunity then to reply if that was just
Right.
something like that got missed.
Mhm.
So it's sort of like, or like for some assignments in this course where we have the ability to resubmit. If I'm not going to do that until it closes, that means I have to also go back in
Yeah,
and
that's true.
reopen stuff. So I don't know. I mean, there must be some, and we're trying to make it in Canvas. That means by sending petitions so that a Canvas will allow a 2 deadline for discussions.
Yeah, we can't be the only people one.
That would be amazing. Yes.
100. So let's see. You have
Yeah.
here, you've got your
Yes.
recents,
Mhm.
and none of these are the ones that you are teaching right now.
No.
Go, can you click up on the back arrow for there and see if it will. I'm trying to see if it will let you go ahead and click on the bars. Let's see, and you're in your course and you are in Pronto. Why won't it let you do it? Let's see, go into settings
Mhm.
of this course, your ESL course, and it's going to be on sign out terms, notifications, language. Okay, how about you go to the course navigation of your course, the ESL course, and then find settings way at the bottom of that long list of
Uh-huh.
on the
Oops.
left.
Let me get out of this. How do I get out of that?
I think you just click out. Does it, well,
Oh,
does it do that? No? Let's
do I have to do
see.
sign
Hold
up?
on.
Okay, well, I can do settings.
Yeah. Go to settings and let's check your feature options. No, it's not going to be in there. Scroll down. No. All right. Go click on integrations and let's see. Soft sync. No. Okay. Let's try apps, which is between there. We go. All right. Type in Pronto in the filter by name. Okay. Click on the Pronto.
Add app.
Add app. Yeah, it's so strange because you have it there. Oh, it's asking for consumer key. No, you shouldn't need any of that. Go ahead and close. So I'm not really sure why it wouldn't. Okay, how about view app configurations? It's at the top-ish. All right, now let's scroll down to Pronto and see what's going on there. And yeah,
It's
go ahead and
locked.
click on the I.
Oops, wrong one.
It's okay. Assignment and link select. So go ahead and close. So that is very strange. That's not in there. Let's see, go close this and let's go back into Pronto again in your global navigation menu.
Oh, sorry.
Let me think. I'm trying to think of LMC. I don't know why I thought you were at CCC. Do you teach at both colleges?
No.
No, just at LMC?
I think do you think it was an email from LMC that they were doing pronto training?
Oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah, I would go to that because for this, like for not for Pope Tech, but for what was the other thing that was? Oh, I can't even remember what it is. It depends on the college, like what they decided to enable and what they decided not to enable. So
oh,
let's see
really?
here,
Mm-hmm.
updated, da da da. Let's see, click on the expand so we can
Because,
see
well,
it
actually,
bigger.
I do know we have it because
You have it in your other
this was
courses.
current. This was from our ESL counselor. Um, but it just looks like you have to create the group or
Let me see.
set
Click
it up
on,
somehow.
do you see the expand button next to your closeout X button within the Pronto window?
Oh,
It's going to be
sorry.
like a box with an arrow looking out.
So
Your
my
mouse is giving you a
screen,
hard time.
yeah, my screen is completely flickering. Having this tech issue, so I'm seeing double right now. Let me just turn off my video. Might help.
Okay.
It's still flickering. Okay, so
All
you
right.
said to close that, right?
Oh no, so go into Pronto, open Pronto,
Oh, okay.
and then you see how there's a little box that has an arrow stick there.
Uh-huh.
Click on that. I'm hoping we can just have a bigger view of it.
Okay, right.
All right, so let's see. Pronto. Click on that gear. And you've got do not disturb, notifications, language, hidden groups. Click on hidden groups. And settings. I guess you don't have any hidden groups. Terms, no. Let me see. Is your course published? Yeah, it has to be. It
Yes.
started
Mhm.
today.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm like it has to be. You started today. Oh, click on the green plus button on the left, middle
This one?
left of
Is
your
that?
screen. There's like a green. I don't know if you can see it. It's
Oh, okay, yeah, it was hidden. There we go.
create a
Oh,
group.
create group. Uh-huh.
There.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's do
Yes. So.
85 SL.
Mhm.
Should I put the semester so that it
Yeah,
is
I
it?
think that might be a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
And category, this is going to be your class, I think. Let me see. Category.
Oh, it won't let me
It won't
choose
let you
or
choose
just none.
just none for now, I guess.
Add people.
Add. Let's see.
Oops.
Connections.
Hmm.
It still doesn't show your class?
No, it's
Oh,
strange.
that's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Connections, search only people in your group only in certain entire node. So click on group and let's see if it lets
Oh, that's
that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was a group one. Oh, darn it.
Okay, well, that's okay. I can
Yeah, I
look
feel like
in
we are
with
so close.
other. Yeah, I know, right? It's gotta be.
Like it's gotta be there.
These are just
Yes, because it would be too crazy to try to search for all of your
individual.
individual
Mm-hmm.
students. And the
Mm-hmm.
truth is that it should, or search by name. Let's see. I don't know if it will let you do that. Your course name, ESL.
Oh, okay.
No.
Let's see. Oh, I don't know how they.
Yeah, no.
No.
So,
Yeah.
yes, there was,
How do you use it in your course? So maybe I
so
can decide
the
if
way it
it's worth
really works.
pursuing.
Yes, like what it works for is for student-to-student interaction. You have to lay down the law in terms of what it counts for and what it doesn't count for. So for example, you might say, this is a space for you to freely communicate with each other in a very unstructured manner. I will jump in from time to time, but this is not the place to ask questions about the course or to try to communicate with me directly, you know. For
Mhm.
those, use Canvas Inbox and use the Q&A discussion. or this is not a place to post any of the discussions that are assignment discussions. So
Mhm.
you kind of have to lay the law there, or else students will be uploading documents, their assignments. It's just can be chaotic, right?
Mhm.
So, but as long as you have, and I would suggest if you're going to use Pronto, just have a Pronto page where, bless you, where you mention, you know, what the function is, how they should use it, maybe an etiquette, you know, kindness and respect,
Mhm.
appropriateness. I had a student who wanted to just tell dirty jokes in Pronto. I'm like, right? And
Mhm.
so once you do that, then you can go ahead and use it. And normally it's just for students. I'm stuck on this, or hey, I went to a great concert, or sometimes things that have nothing to do with the course. And
Mhm.
so,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
a lot of teachers do like it. They
Yeah,
do.
I've heard a lot of instructors have luck with it. And even when I like kind of tried to like push it, like, hey, I've had 5 students, I think, in 2 years that have written one thing on there.
Yeah.
Like none of my
Uh,
early childhood students want anything to do with Pronto. Like it's not something that they use. They just message me. It doesn't, yeah,
mm.
it never
My
took off with
mother,
any of them.
Because
my
I tried to
son,
create like an informal, I have a student lounge chat,
uh-huh.
apart from the Q&A. And usually, yeah, at the beginning, there are, a few back and forth comments, but it's not the same feel as like a chat,
Yes.
or even, something like social media feel, right?
That's
Where
what
it's, you
Pronto
can,
tries to do it. It
that,
tries
I
to
guess it
mimic
is, huh?
that. Because you can put emojis and videos and all kinds of things.
Mm,
For me, I'm like, nah, my mother probably sends me about 100 texts a day. So that,
No, a lot of
you
a
know,
lot
I
of
just,
teachers like it because they're like, it's like you don't have to give your phone out because they can text you. And I'm like,
there you go.
I like certain boundaries. So I'm like, it's an app though, so you don't have to check it. You don't have to have it on notifications or you get a dinged. I just look on Canvas, and if I see I have a Pronto message, then I'll
Then
go
you
look
jump
at
in
it and see what it
to
is.
see how
mm,
they're doing.
Maybe I
Yes.
haven't pushed it as enough of like, you guys can hang out here together. I mean, I don't know.
mm.
Just
And
don't do it.
I think I've disabled mine too. Let me see. This is one last shot at it. Let me go into my course here. Oh, I did. So Pronto. These are all of the other ones. This course here, let me see, which one's this one? 3044. So, and I think this is from another semester, maybe. No one has sent any messages yet. And so I don't even know if this 3044 is from this semester or not from this semester. How did I get those in there? Well, I don't know, because there's way too many in here for me to be happy, that I'm linked to. But I think that mostly it's because I was part of their courses and their cohorts, and that's why I'm in here. Let me see.
Oh, and then I do have a question that just popped up about using
Mhm,
our studio videos and whether, so I still have to play around with the quiz
mhm,
function of it. But if I just want to have them, which I already do, I have them, sometimes type a comment.
uh-huh.
But is there a way that to make that mandatory? Is it setting it to some kind of submission on the page?
Yes.
Or are
So
those? Yeah.
let
Oh,
me see
okay.
if I can find something that mimics that. So what you would do is that you would create an assignment. Let's say it's this, your quest for online learning. So what this is students who have never used Canvas or don't know what online work might entail, I have them enroll. It's a self-enroll course. And what it helps them is with Canvas, Zoom, Office, Tech, all of that, right? So it doesn't do anything on its own because it's taking them to another third party where they're in that Canvas instance, they take all of the information, they fill out a Google form, then they get emailed their certificate. But this is set up as an assignment with a file upload. So for example, if this were, and don't let me say, if this were an assignment with Canvas Studio, Then what I would do is tell them, use Canvas Studio to create your, your video. Or you could just say, use your phone, use anything that you want to create your welcome video. Because that's what you want, right? Like a video.
Oh, so actually I was referring to because I use Canvas Studio for my mini lectures and to get students to write a comment or post a question on there. I know how to do that, but can that be linked to the grade book or can it be mandatory?
It can. You can make that mandatory. So there are a couple of ways. So let's say that this, instead of being the self-enroll link, it's that video, right? Then what you do is that you create it in the assignment page, so you will have a speed grader. So it's kind of a placeholder, but then when you get all the comments at the bottom, so you don't want them to create a video, right?
No, I do that, but
not for this.
For the comments, it would be on videos that I create.
So then they would have all the comments down here, and you could have the speed grader, so that within speed grader you'd be able to look at whatever the video was in the comments that they made right here, and then use a rubric.
Okay.
Assign. Like there's no rubric here because it's like, this is like, they just have to show me that they've gone through the quest. So, but if it were an assignment that had a rubric, then I would click on the rubric, and then I could have different things like proper grammar, or polite, or warmth, or whatever the criteria was. And you could click, and then you could just give them their comment. And so one thing that really helps to expedite a lot of the grading is to use the comments library. And the comments library is right here. It's a little bubble. If you don't have any comments, it doesn't have a number next to it. But what I do, for example, and then you can use like quick clips. You can type, and then, for example, let me get out of here. Let me see if I can get out of here so I can show you. So I have them all preloaded. But if I go in here and type quest certificate, then what it does is it shows me, you have 2 quest feedback. Which one do you want to use?
This is so nice.
So I click this here, and then I will say, awesome. Who is this? Jonathan. And then congratulations, working, and then here, because it's an extra credit, I give them 5 points for doing this. And then that's that. Submit, and that's it. Now, if I had to say something else like, thank you, but this is not really the certificate, then I have, more options. So with this, that means it quickly does the things that I type over and over and over again, but then I can be very specific and individualized with this. And so I can give them those comments.
That's awesome. And just to double back, to set up that required comment on your Canvas Studio video, what would the option be when you create the assignment? Because I think that's what I'm maybe missing.
So when you create the assignment, let's go back into edit here. And I'm going to soon have to jump out of here.
Yes, I see it's your time.
Other people. So here, all you would do is that you would create this assignment, and it would be no submission here. Because the video, they're commenting on the actual video. So that you could just tell them, you must comment on this. You can't upload any document or any screenshots. The only place I can see your comments is by your commenting.
Okay, and that's what pops up in the speed grader when you do it that way.
And so awesome. That way you're not going to get a bunch of students trying to submit screenshots or something like that.
Yes.
And then in Studio, if I find my Studio, do I have it here somewhere? I should. Let me see. No, I don't think I have it in there. Why? We didn't use Studio. Okay, I'll go into my global navigation so I can show you. Because you already know where to enable the comments part, right? So for example, let's say this was my assignment here.
Oh, yes.
Enabled, okay, all right, just to make sure. And Brianne, did you have any other questions before I run off into the next
No,
Zoom meeting?
I'm good.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Well,
I
thank you
Thank you
very
so much,
much.
Monica.
Have a
Night.
beautiful night. Bye.
Bye.